2024 has been a great year for games so far, and there's grips of good titles competing for your time. Here's some games that are excellent enough that I've been playing them off camera, on top of all the time I already spend in Space Marine 2 for the channel. We're going to run through each in a rapid-fire review / first impressions kind of way to talk about where they shine, where they fall short, and whether or not they may be worth your time. As per my usual, I try to leave spoilers and excessive detail out of my reviews, so you get to experience the magic of the game for yourself. Coming up first, we have Witchfire. The internet has dubbed this one FPS Souls-like roguelite, which is apt, if a bit overbroad. In the spirit of keeping pertinent info close to chapter markers, it very much has that, yeah, but just one more run. Wait, are those birds I hear outside my Oh no. Kind of vibe going for it, and I'm here for it. This originally entered early access on the Epic launcher last year, but recently released on Steam. So much of the content you'll find is from that previous version of the game without the benefit of further dev time. First and foremost, Witchfire does gunplay right. Note that I did not say, does gunplay well, okay? If I had to draw a comparison, the weapons feel akin to the first Destiny, and each one has a very real sense of character that differentiates it from the others. The roguelite mechanics are tied to in-game actions and are well-paced in my opinion, as you unlock and upgrade your weapons and base to progress the character in meaningful ways. The difficulty system is player-directed and has distinct advantages and disadvantages to increasing it, granting access to new areas, items, and activities in existing ones, and also making the enemies far, far more threatening. More on that in a sec. The Souls-like reputational aspect, I think, comes from the character stats and leveling system, as well as the shared currency and XP item mechanic and how you can drop that and loot on death with the option to go recover it on your next run, or at least until you die again, and the overall difficulty of the game. To be fair, I'm not sure if the difficulty is entirely the game's fault or mine, since I leveled Gnosis before really understanding how that system changed the world or leveling up much at all. I just saw a thing that said, hey, this requires the next level of Gnosis early on. So, foolishly, I went and did that within the first hour of play. This is likely a me problem. If you don't want a learning curve comparable to old school EVE Online, maybe hold off a bit before repeating my mistake. Potential downsides for Witchfire are a matter of personal preference, I think. Be prepared to figure things out on your own in terms of some mechanics, events, interactions, and secrets in-game with minimal guidance in a very FromSoft fashion. Or be ready to hit Google if you're not the kind of person who enjoys figuring it out on your own. True to roguelite form, the perks you get after clearing enemy camps each run are randomized, and sometimes RNG just decides you don't get anything useful for your specific gear setup that run. That annoys me quite a bit, and is part of why roguelites and I don't normally get along, but your mileage may vary. There's 3 maps at the time of recording, with random spawns and events each run, but if you're expecting a great diversity of settings, you might feel a bit disappointed here. Witchfire is $40 US at the time of recording. My ideal is $1 or less per hour of entertainment when it comes to games, and it hits that mark for me pretty easily. Second, we have the Forever Winter. Conceptually, this one is my absolute favorite on the list. If you've not seen the announcement / early access release trailer the devs put out, just go do that. Not right this second, of course, because YouTube things, but like right after you finish the video. Forever Winter is a solo or co-op PvE looter and extraction game set in the ruins of a society that takes the vibe of the future from Terminator 2 and dials it up to 11 by salting in facets of the war economy from Metal Gear and sprinkled on existential horror. Just, yes, please. The game is stressful when you're just starting out or playing as intended. Until you reach a point of progression in the player power curve that tips the balance in your favor, you are not the guy, as the devs are fond of saying. Unwanted attention from enemies is a problem. The Forever Winter pretty expertly integrates the things that I love about stealth games into a genre which usually prioritizes and rewards aggression. There's some robust quest and weapon upgrade mechanics, as well as some base building, which I imagine will be expanded on greatly as development continues. Each map currently available feels meaningfully different and produces distinct gameplay experiences while staying thematically on point. All that said, This is an early access title in the proper definition of the term. This isn't one of those games where the devs push a mostly finished product onto Steam and leave it in early access forever so that they can effectively get paid twice for the same work. There is a lot of work and polish yet to be done on this game. Movement and collision are janky at times, AI spawns are immersion breaking, and there's bugs. Granted, I've only crashed once over the course of my time with the game, but performance on PC is gnarly at the moment. Even with the new machine I built a couple months ago, it struggles to run things over medium settings while maintaining like 90 plus FPS in 1440. Lossless Scaling helps out quite a bit here if you're not already CPU bound. I'll leave a link to that tool in the description. By far, it's the best $7 I've ever spent on Steam. Overall, Forever Winter has great bones, a dev team that seems passionate and sincere and who actively engage with the community. And I'm excited to see where this goes long term. I don't mind the lack of polish right now, but this will not be for everyone with the state it's currently in, whether that's due to jankiness or performance requirements. Even if you don't play it now, though, wishlist it, keep a close eye. I have a feeling this one will be good. The Forever Winter is $30 US at the time I record, and is worth that, in my opinion, both for the enjoyment I have and plan to continue having in-game, while also supporting devs that are willing to try something different. All right, third, the finals. Now, this is very much a sometimes snack for me. I tried this back when it released and bounced off of it hard. Cliff Notes is that it's your usual class-based team hero shooter with a few different game modes that inject their unique take on the genre. Truth be told, I'd stopped following the game up until a Mr. Fruit video popped up in my feed about it, and his Destiny content was always solid from what I remember, so I checked it out again. I think if you don't expect it to be your forever game, it's fun to hop on and have some low stakes and low investment fun in a title that really does some cool things that carve out a singular experience. The destruction in this one is off the chain, beyond anything I've played since Bad Company 2. Like, oh, the objective or that pesky sniper is one floor above me? Well, there's C4 or Sledgehammer for that. Oh look, the objective and a now far more confused sniper is right in front of me. Excellent. Performance on PC is great. After loading in, I think I checked the graphic settings on launch to turn off things like motion blur and whatnot, but left everything else at auto-detect and it was permanently pegged to 144. There's still some meta and balancing concerns, and yes, there's a battle pass system for monetization. That's frankly to be expected within the genre. It's free to play, so maybe grab a friend or two and see what absurdity you can get up to for an evening to see if it's your cup of tea. And last on the list is the Delta Force demo. Depending on when you're watching this, Steam Next Fest may still be going on, in which case you should absolutely give this a shot. Otherwise, keep it on your radar for early access release before the end of 2024. The game's branded as a free-to-play multiplayer shooter with an additional single-player campaign at full release, and the two multiplayer modes available right now are Havoc Warfare and Tactical Turmoil. Anyone who's played a Battlefield title will immediately feel right at home in Havoc Warfare. You've got your standard assortment of classes, think medic, recon, anti-tank, and a frankly brain-breaking, in a good way, degree of customization for individual weapons. A good deal of balancing in this mode is still needed. Things like explosive spam can be a bit oppressive at times, and a few of the spawns on the maps available to us now, at least, could use some work. But the version available during Steam Next Fest is purportedly an outdated version from internal testing and that closed alpha earlier this year. We'll see how things shake out over early access and full release, but I don't think it's a stretch to say this is what Battlefield 2042 should have been. Tactical Turmoil is their shake at the extraction shooter genre. To me, it feels like a pleasant halfway point between the arcadiness of DMZ and the I'm going to require you to grind for the equivalent of a part-time job just to stay competitive that is Tarkov. Full disclosure, I've spent thousands of hours in the DayZ and Wasteland Arma 2 mods, as well as PUBG back when it was a baby and, DMZ more recently. So I'm still a little bit burnt out on the extraction shooter genre, but this one feels good so far. In my opinion, it really does nail that happy medium of balancing higher stakes gameplay while still remembering that it's a game, and the entire point of a game is to be fun. Gunplay and movement feel refined and familiar, and despite some of those balancing needs I mentioned, I rarely had moments where I wasn't sure why I died or moments where shots or physics failed to register. There is a notable bit of visual recoil on weapons, but that generally doesn't bother me. And I would much prefer to have weighty feeling weapons as contrasted with the lasers that we get in like Apex or Off the Grid. Performance-wise, I've tried this on the new machine, as well as my older one with the 3080 and a wicked CPU bottleneck. I have zero complaints on either system at 1440p on a 144Hz monitor, after making my usual graphics option changes. To that end, in any game I play, I'm almost always going to turn motion blur off, just because no, as well as knock down shadows and a few other resource-intensive settings just a bit, because a steady, high frame rate is disproportionately important to me. So your mileage may vary if you don't share that opinion. As for the rest of October, MechWarrior 5 Clans comes out on the 17th, and as someone who has a special place in his heart for MechWarrior 3 and Pirate's Moon, I'm cautiously optimistic. MechWarrior 5 didn't get its hooks in me at all, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to be hurt like that again, but we're going to give it a shot. The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game is on the 18th, which could be fun for some co-op silliness, depending on how mechanically sound the gameplay is, but I'll likely wait for other reviews myself before deciding. I mean, it's not like publishers are lining up to give someone with 1,100 subs free keys, and my corgis have become accustomed to expensive food and treats. Wayfinder hits full release later this month, and I'd previously covered the change of direction with that game, so expect at least a couple streams checking in on the new zone and quality of life changes. So those are the games I think are worth a second glance this month. Let us know if I've missed any titles that could also stand to be on the list, or what thoughts or questions you have about the games I've mentioned here. I've been Bald Squid. I'll see you next time.